So this is part two of an earlier video I had posted where I thought the client was going to be interviewing me, but as it turns out, I was interviewing him more. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to put a link to it up here. But you could just watch this one for what it is. I'm kind of dishing about behind the scenes in Palm Springs real estate, what it's like to buy in Palm Springs, kind of some of the challenges, and what it's like to be a real estate agent in Palm Springs. Now, if you're like a lot of people that watch my channel, chances are you haven't subscribed yet. Come on, hit that subscribe button. I know you want to do it, and let's get started and pick up with the video. So, Rudy, you've been here less than a week, actually living here. What's been the most surprising thing about Palm Springs, good or bad to you so far?
Well, one of the surprising things is the availability of all these businesses.
Oh,
yeah. Shopping,
yeah,
services. We come from an area that is relatively poor in that we had to travel a great distance to get to work. Going from Port Townsend to Seattle was a day's trip.
Mm-hmm.
And if you still wanted to stay in contact with people, you needed to make big plans to take that day trip to Seattle. Here I notice everything seems to be contiguous. One little area flows into another. We're just amazing. Having gone to Costco yesterday, how easy that was. It didn't see it as a distance, but it was interesting. Another interesting thing is the number of lots that are undeveloped here.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's Indian land.
most likely.
Is not built on.
Yes,
But it's amazing what the natural desert scape is like and what the developed land is like. The developed land is much more beautiful because everything is manicured and artfully chosen. There was one video that you did on Indian Springs.
Indian Canyon
Springs. Yeah. And I was noticing how shaggy those palms were.
Shaggy.
You don't see that in Palm Springs. Everything is manicured.
Yeah. So if not now, wait till after the summer. But if you get the chance to go hiking there, you have to go as far as I went in the video. But it is an oasis, and it is on Indian land, so you do have to pay entrance fee, and it's not that far from here. And one of the things I love about living in Palm Springs is just hiking. I'm a big hiker. Not a golfer at all, but I've never been known to play golf. But I love to hike, and so I go there, and it's just, again, it's a natural oasis with, I think, the largest number of those kind of fan palms, I think anywhere, certainly in California. I go on the North Lichen Trail, which sometimes you see some bighorn sheep up there. That's a great place to hike. And then there's the down here in Palm Desert, the Bump and Grind Trail. You might see some bighorn sheep there as well. And then there's a waterfall. The other Indian reservation, I think they call it the Keats Canyon at the end of, I think it's in the Mesquite. You park there, you pay for entry. When the waterfall is flowing, it's gorgeous. And you could also take the tram to the top of Mount San. Yeah, and that's just gorgeous up there. It's like an alpine. So a lot of times, this time of year, some friends of mine from up here the other day, it was like maybe 102 here, and it was like 72 there. And, it's pretty quick up there, and, we just hike around up there. So just all kind of things to do. And yeah, everything's kind of at your fingertips. So sometimes you look at, like, let's say from here, from my house to the Costco. I know from my house to the Costco is probably 20 miles, but I wouldn't do those 20 miles in LA, but here in the desert, it's like, it's just not, particularly this time of year, there's just not the amount of traffic that, 20 miles in LA, it's like.
Another thing I point out to people, I said the streets are so wide here, and I thought maybe because it was developed by wealthy people in the 40s for the movie colonies, that everything was laid out kind of on a grand scale. Maybe that has something to do with the width of the streets.
Yeah, the streets are wide. It's a good observation, and well maintained. So I can tell you that Avenida Caballero is one of my favorite streets because there's all these mid-century modern houses on it. which runs up to the back of my community, Miralon, which is only a resident entry. They're repaving that right now. I was like, wow, great, you know, because, you know, in other parts of Southern California, you could drive around the same pothole for like, you know, years on end and no one does anything. And, you know, I said when they opened up that gate, oh, I hope because they put new cement in coming to the community, I said, I hope they keep doing it down. They're doing it. So you'll see a lot of maintenance, particularly this time of year, during the summer before we get to the high season when all the snowbirds and tourists come. And I would say you and Rick are literally going through trial by, not fire, by heat, because, you know, you got here just in time. It was under 100. Now it's about, just about 100, 400, 500, 600. But we're going to start hitting those triple-digit days for weeks on end. And, you know, the best thing I always tell people, get out in the morning, do whatever you need to do by 10:30 or 11. You said you had the opportunity to enjoy the pools here already. Yeah, jump in the pool at night.
Well, I'm going to say something about that because people that we've been talking to in Port Townsend, other areas around the country, they are genuinely terrified of this heat. And I pointed out what I was noticing, you know, the times that we've been down here, is that the whole culture is focused on how not only to survive in the heat, but to live well.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that's the architecture, part of that's the landscaping that's done, or the activities that people go to and the times of day that you do things. Mm-hmm. We noticed, you know, shopping yesterday, people seemed unfazed by it. They weren't even wearing, you know, like big hats or anything. They were just going from their car.
I always have my big hat.
Into the store. Well, you know, I've gotten used to my hat. I like it. So that's another thing. It seems like, you know, technology and human ingenuity have made this place what it is.
Yeah. So, and I don't, you know, pull any punches about this in the videos. During the summer, it's really hot. You know, unless you can take triple digits for weeks on end, you know, people should think about, you know, moving here full time. But you know, you've got, I know a lot of people live in Las Vegas. They live in Phoenix, Arizona, parts of Texas. It's pretty damn hot there too. You know, as I recall growing up in New York, it got pretty cold. You know, -20 with the wind chill factor and the snow, and you know,
and hot during some
and hot. This is so hot and humid. You know, except for a little bit, you get some humidity here sometimes. But you know, you mentioned, you know, living in Washington. I know, you know, many years ago when I lived around Seattle, it rained every day. And being a good New Yorker, when I first got there, I was holding my umbrella, and then like 3 weeks later, I was walking through the rain like everyone else. You acclimate to it. But I'll say this about Palm Springs and the greater Palm Springs area, is that during the winter months, there's probably no more beautiful place with perfect weather. So you get, you know, to November through April, a good, you know, whatever 6 months that is, maybe mid-October through mid-May. And it's just perfect.
A paradise, as a friend that lives in Palm Desert said.
Yeah, yeah. And you can, whatever, if you like an outdoor lifestyle, you know, again, I think 120 golf courses in the desert, there are over 120 golf courses. There's tennis, pickleball, pools, hiking, jogging, biking on the CV link, which goes from up near the visitor center all the way down, I think, into Cathedral City or further. A lot of outdoor activities, a lot of great restaurants. The dining is really good. And, you know, like I said, you went to Costco. You can do any kind of shopping you find anywhere else. You can kind of find here. And the difference, though, is, particularly in the city of Palm Springs, our major business is hospitality. And when you or I or Rick walk into a restaurant or a store, they don't know if we're tourists or we live here. Well, some people know we live here. I went to coffee this morning. They knew what I wanted. They my math right. But the hospitality mentality, and people are really nice in a lot of the, you know, stores and restaurants. You know, I go into, you know, restaurant in LA and you got some, you know, server or waiter, you know, he's annoyed that, you know, he has to serve us because he wants to go to his next screen test, you know. You know, here, the hospitality in the shops and everything, it's really great. So a lot of people also, misconception is people think, all of Palm Springs is overrun with tourists all the time. Like downtown around the Rowan and the Starbucks and those couple of blocks, yeah, it's very touristy. But again, as I recall, when I lived in Seattle, there were a lot of tourists around, the Space Needle. When I lived in New York City, a lot of tourists, were around Times Square. So I think it's a good thing. But I think just the hospitality you find from a lot of people in Palm Springs and in a lot of the shops and restaurants is great. And people are service oriented, and I like that. So back to real estate. You mentioned all you get a deluge of like electronic, paperwork. California is very consumer friendly.
You've said that.
Good, bad, or otherwise. We've got a lot of regulations and there's a lot of disclosures for buyers. On the sale side, it's a little bit less onerous in the amount of disclosures and paperwork, but the buyers are getting hit with you get overwhelmed, which is, again, where someone like myself, and I tell people I'm with you every step of the way.
It's a matter of trust. When you say boilerplate,
yeah,
you mean it. It means like you guys are not taking a chance with this. You're
Yeah.
not going to get surprised with something that you signed.
It's just you're being informed on a certain disclosure. You're being informed, you're acknowledging that you've been informed, as opposed to something that's specific to the property or something to do with price or terms. And when it is price or terms, I pointed out. One of the things, going back a number of years when, we used to have to go out and get all that paperwork, hand signed, wet signature. In the old days, I would have been FedExing that package to you. You would have signed it and sent it back to me. With a pen, people don't do, for the most part, wet signatures. One of the things I was concerned about is that, are agents going to really be informing their clients what they're signing? I try to take an extra step on that, as I did when you went to the escrow company. I went with you. I don't know any agents that do that. I mean, it's just, I tell people I'm with them every step of the way, and I really am.
It's a matter of trust in the individual agent.
Yeah.
That person represents you, and it becomes much easier because of the overwhelming things of new experiences all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what made it work, because being such a new experience with everything, I don't think it could have worked at all if there wasn't a level of trust. That was developed very early, and that was, I think, what you mentioned is your responsiveness.
I try to be the most responsive person in the business. And if I don't know something, I'll say I don't know it. Let me find out and get back to you. Now, having sold hundreds of houses in decades, I mean, sometimes something comes up, I don't know. I don't think people expect you to know 100% of everything all the time. But it's knowing where to go to get the answer.
Yes.
Where do you go to get the answer? And having the resources, the connections, which I certainly have after the years in this business. Thank you so much for sitting here with me and doing this interview in your beautiful new home. And anything else you can think of that I didn't cover or ask you about?
We're looking forward to your next video.
The next video, actually, the day before we shot this one, I just put my video up about Canyon Sands, and it's been getting a lot of views so far. Yeah.
We're definitely interested.
Rudy, thank you so much for doing this. A lot of the people I work with today, they meet me right here on YouTube. And I get these calls, and if you're watching this video, feel free to be this person who does this call. I get these calls, people go, "Hey Ellis, it's Bob." Bob, who was like, and they tell me they've watched me on the videos, and yes, this is who I really am, right? This is just it.
Really, you're amazingly genuine in person as you are.
Thank you so much. That's what I try to be.
Yes.
I'm just unscripted, and and people, I've watched so many of your videos, I feel like I know you. It's like, okay, so who is this again? But that's okay. If you want to make that call, you can call me, you can text me, you can use the contact form on PalmSpringsHouseHunt.com, and I will get back to you, and I may even pick up the phone, or, if I'm not with someone.
I am not a robot.
I'm not a robot, yeah.
I am not a robot.
And, I think, as I said, in this world we live in. I was joking with a friend of mine yesterday who was saying something about different AIs talking to each other. And I was saying the joke in LA is going to become not have my people call your people. It's going to have my AI speak to your AI. And like, I do use some AIs for some
See if the systems clash or not.
Yeah. But it's like real estate is a personal experience. There's nothing more personal than where you live. And my goal is to keep it personal and give the highest level of service. So thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for subscribing. And thank you, Rudy. And I wish you and Rick all the years of health and happiness here.
Thank you.
I'm a one take guy. I don't know what I do now. I'm known as Mr. One Take.
Wow.